Hey, Steve here. Thank you so much for joining me. I get a lot of questions regarding loopers and loop pedals, that sort of thing. So I got a hold of Guitar World and a company called Singular Sound. And what I did was I basically logged my journey of figuring out these pedals and how they work in a video series. So there's 4 different videos here that are going to show you how the pedal is called the Aeros Loop Studio by Singular Sound. And the first video is going to show you how it works, how to set it up, how to organize it, the ins and outs of it, so you can connect it to, whatever, whether you're going to an audio interface or just going to headphones or something like that. And then the second video, what I do is I bring in a pedal called the beatbuddy, which is another pedal by Singular Sound, and I connect those two together and I show you how that works. Now, before recording these videos, I didn't have any idea how this works, so I thought it'd be a great idea to record the process so you could see it too and maybe save you a little bit of time. And then in the third video, I recorded what's called 2x2 mode by Singular Sound on the Aeros Loop Studio. And basically what it is it's 2 tracks and then 2 parts. And then in the last video, they also have a mode called 6x6. So you can record 6 tracks and 6 parts, and I did that as well. So if you're interested in either one of these pedals, certainly the emphasis is on the Loop Studio. If you want to learn how it works and avoid some of the setup traps that I ran into, these videos are going to be a great help for you, I hope. And thank you to Guitar World, and thank you for Singular Sound for allowing me to make this demo. And so check out these videos. This is the first one where we just get everything set up. All right, so let's look at what I've learned so far in terms of actually hooking it up and how I've got it hooked up. And then you can decide what works best for you as well. So the first thing here is that I've got 2 inputs coming in. One of my inputs is actually coming from my Kemper, okay? And you could be running in through anything you want. But one thing that I found really amazing about this Loop Studio is that I could send, whatever amp I want from my Kemper in here and record it. And then when I change the tone and record another part, it records that new part. Where a lot of times, if you know what I mean with using loopers, you oftentimes, when you change the part, it changes the part that you recorded as well. So if I had a clean part and I moved to a distortion or something, this does not do that. And you'll see that in my demonstrations as I go through here. But anyway, so this is Kemper coming in here. And then right here, I've got a direct input that I'm going to be using for acoustic and for bass. Now, you wouldn't have to use 2 different inputs. You could use one input and then just switch out your instruments and that sort of thing. Or you might want to run both inputs and have 2 different things playing at the same time, which is kind of cool. So maybe somebody, your friend is recording in this channel and you're recording in this channel or something like that. So there's lots of different ways that you could record with these inputs, okay? And then what I've got coming out of here, and this is what I want to show you, and then I'll get to some of what I've got on the screen here too, but I'm coming out of these, and let me show you these right here. So if I turn it up here, okay, these are the outputs. You can kind of see that. These are the inputs, right? I don't have an expression pedal set up right now. And then if you see that glare right here, that's actually my microphone. The screen isn't dirty. It's just the reflection of my microphone up here. So anyway, I'm running out stereo out into my audio interface. Now, it took me a while to kind of explore this. You don't need to run stereo out. You don't need to run left and right. You can just run, mono out too, but you need to change the settings in there, which is what we're going to look at here as well. So you could either use a Y cable and come out of there and run into something, or you could just run mono, but I'm going to show you how to set it up inside here. So the Wi-Fi is connected. Of course, that's really nice to be able to do to get your updates, right? And you can see I'm all up to date here. But it's very easy. Once you get set up, it'll tell you whether or not you need anything. So let's come over to the settings. This is what I really want to show you right now. So in the settings, the first thing we've got there, let me grab my glasses here. The first thing we've got there is the recording source. So I've got main inputs, okay? Auxiliary inputs over here for a recording source. As I understand it, you'll be able to do that sometime in the future. But again, maybe somebody else can verify that for me. And the reason I got a hold of Aeros and asked them about this because I was looking at trying to input maybe a drum beat or something like that, an MP3 or an audio file of a drum beat. And they suggested that I try using the beatbuddy at this time, which I'll show you the beatbuddy in a little while as well. So I've got my main in. My main input level is instrument. If you're running a keyboard or something, you might change that to line in. Audio output, this is what I'm talking about. Right now, I've got it set for stereo. If you were only running mono, you'd want to switch that over to mono. okay? But I've got it running stereo right here. So this is going to record to a track, and this is going to record to a track, okay? And in terms of my output, okay? So they're going to two separate channels on my audio interface. Loopback playback routing is main out, or loop playback, excuse me. Main output routing is main out. I've just got everything set for main out. Auxiliary in routing would be auxiliary out, but again, I'm not using that at this point. Click routing. Now, click routing means the click track that you set up in here, whether it's the intro click or it's the click that goes through the entire song, which I'll show you in just a little bit. Right now it's set for main out, so you're going to hear it, but I could have routed that to the auxiliary output and then plugged like a set of headphones or something in here, and that way I can hear it, but nobody else can hear it. Maybe for live performance, you'd want to do something like that. I think that's a great idea. And the auxiliary out absolutely does work. I'm just not running it that way. I'm just running my click to the main out. Click right here, click after recording first track. Now, what that does is after you record that first track, the click, you'll hear the intro click if you've got it set up for an intro click. Let me show you that right down. Oh, it's in the other part. I'll show you that in just a second. So basically, when you start the song, you'll have a lead in or a count in, and then there won't be any click after that. So it made it very, very difficult for me, even with the visual, to really line up to it. So I turned that on, and now you're going to hear the click all the way through. Again, I could route that to the auxiliary out and take the main out off of there, and then nobody else would hear it, right, if I was doing this live or something. But for my recording, I wanted that click on there, and you'll hear that in just a little bit. Click volume, and then none of this stuff I really worried about. Again, maybe something in there is something that you would need to edit, but I didn't need to do anything there. So that's all I really had to do there. Set it up for stereo, because that's what I'm running. I'm running instrument input, main ins, and I'm running everything to the main outs. I'm not using the auxiliary out at all. Auxiliary in routing, I'm not using that. Okay, click routing to the main out, click after recording the first track, so we're good there. All right? Now, we're going to come over here to, there's the quick start guide where you can read about some stuff and things like that, but right now we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so songs and Loop Studio. So Loop Studio is where the action is. Okay, now I've already recorded something, but I will re-record it when I actually get to that part. But I wanted to show you kind of what's happening here. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here, okay, and I'm going to go back to the songs here. So if I go back out, and so heading back, if you look right here, there's my song. So if you look right here, see that little house right there? That sends me back to this page. So Loop Studio, here I am in my song, which we'll listen to and look at in just a second here. Okay, here are my songs that I've done so far. And there's the settings I was just at, right? So we're going to go into songs just for now. And you're going to see here I can use this scroll bar to go through some different things. And again, I was just testing out some stuff. So the first thing I did here to make things kind of easy, and I'll show you this in a minute here, is what they call the 2x2. Okay, basically what that means is you can record up to 2 separate tracks, and you can record up to 2 separate parts. Okay, there is a 6x6, which I'll be showing you as well, where you can record up to 6 tracks and 6 parts. Maybe you don't need that much. The 2x2 is really great when you're trying to do something very quick and on the fly, and you don't need a lot of different sections. I would think live that would be very, very useful. The 6x6 gets a little more involved, so it takes a little more time. But just overall with loop recording and things like that, what I have found, and maybe again you found something different, but what I found is the less looped sections I have, the more involved those sections can be. If you start getting into 6x6, so you're recording 6 different sections, if all the parts are really, really busy and there's a lot going on, sometimes it's really hard to kind of mix that. And it just kind of sounds really, really noisy after a while. But again, you have to explore this and see what you think yourself. So you can see that my Steve 2x2 song is saved on the SD card, okay? And the reason I did that was there's an SD card right here. I wanted to try and see what happens if I save it to the SD card and then I put it in my computer. is it one file with all of the sounds just on one single wave file, or does it save it as independent files and that sort of thing? And I wanted to check that out before I started this recording. And as a matter of fact, it does save all of my parts individually. So it saves all of the individual tracks, it saves the individual parts of the tracks, and then it saves, so if you have, part 1 and you have 2 parts, and then you have part 2 and you have 2 parts, there's actually 4 recordings, and it saves all of those independently. If you do any overdubs, it saves those independently as well. So you can go back into your computer and you can mix those any way you like, which is really, really cool. Okay, so what I can do here, now this is going to move the song. It's moving the song from the SD card to the Loop Studio. And the reason I did that was, before I started this video, it took a while to load it off the SD card. I don't know if it does that every time, but if I just put it directly on the Loop Studio itself and then do all of my playing and recording and that sort of thing, then save it back over to the SD card, take it out, put it in my computer, do what I want with it, and I'm ready to go. So really, the SD card would be great for, as far as I've found anyway, for transferring the information. But if you save it on here and then you try and load it, it does take a little while to load. So anyway, in my findings. So let's go ahead. We've got Steve 2x2 set up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push play. And you can see this button here says play, stop all. And if I press twice, it stops it immediately. Watch what happens if I press it and then just hit it once. See that? It's blinking. It's telling me that when it gets to the end, it's going to stop. See? And you can see it's closing in. Okay, so if you press it once, it's going to play all the way through that section that you created, and then it will stop. If you press it twice, it will stop immediately. The other thing I want you to notice are the little lines on there which tell you the timing, okay, the tempo. It shows you each beat. New measure. Now that's what I was talking about before. You can hear the click on my track. I like to hear the click when I'm recording things, but now that I've recorded it, I could actually go back and I could pull that click out if I wanted to, just to listen to it. And let's say I'm sick of listening to that click. So I can come down in here, hit off, and then get out of here, go back to my Loop Studio. And you can see that the click is now gone. So it's not like it forces itself onto the track at all. You can remove it and it's perfectly fine. And like I said, if you were performing live, it might be nice to have that click, but it's up to you, right? You might send that click through the auxiliary out over on this side into your ears. That way you're hearing the click, but nobody else is. So anyway, that's a pretty cool thing too. So let's go back here. So Loop Studio, what you're looking at is you're looking at track 1 and track 2. And you can see I've recorded both of those, okay? Okay, now this is off. Watch this. If I go back out, okay, and I go back in here, see, now it's gone. If I hit it twice, it'll mute it. Okay, you see that? And then it'll play it. Now if I go back to this part here, hit it twice, it mutes it. If I hit it twice again, or once again, sorry, my track is back. All right? And I could overdub over the top of it as well, okay? So because you only have 2 tracks in the 2x2 setting, you can actually overdub tracks over the top of it as well, okay? So that's kind of a cool feature. And again, I'll show you that as we kind of move in and I actually start playing. But right now I'm just trying to kind of show you how this goes. So let's say I was playing this part. Now I recorded a second part as well. So watch this. If I press this, watch up there. So it moves here and it shows me I've got 2 tracks and I've recorded both of those tracks here as well. So now let's listen to that part. Now what I've actually got there is I've got one acoustic guitar that I'm strumming a bit more. Down here I've got kind of a picking thing, and then I actually overdubbed a little swell thing. And again, I'm going to show you that, but I'm going to show you, I will re-record the whole thing and actually show it to you, but I wanted to show you what this looks like first. Mutes that. So now you hear that part. Bring it back in. Now watch this. If I touch over here, one of these, it brings up this. So now I can see my two tracks there, and I can decide if I want to lower one of them. I can select which track I want, or the master. See that? So So basically, these control your recording and your overdubbing. This controls moving the sections or the parts back and forth, okay? And this starts or stops everything. This is where it takes a little bit of getting used to over here. But when I start the song, let's say I go back to the first part here, and I want to go to the next part. Now this is showing me how much time it's going to take to get to that next section, but watch what happens when I push this. Now it's telling me it's getting ready to go to that second part, so let's listen. Now we're going to go back into that part. Back into the first part now. Okay, so that kind of shows you the setup of this. Now, if I wanted to do a 6x6 song, I'd have to create a new song. Okay, do I want to save? No, I don't want to save that. I want to keep the other one I had. So let's say I want to do a new song. So I go here and name it whatever, right? So I'm going to name it Song T, just to make things quick. So there's my song, right? Now, if I go in here and look around, though, number of tracks, I want 6x6 instead. Sync tracks by start and length. Okay, I just left it at length, but again, you've got to explore this a little bit here. What quantize to measure? Let's go here. Sync tracks length keeps tracks off different lengths synced with each other by making each track a ratio of the longest recorded track. In quantize modes, all tracks will be forced to be any whole number multitude. Okay, well that's fine. So I'm just going to use it at length. Okay, I can change my time signature, change my tempo, count in measures. Okay, this is what I use. So I've got it set for 2. Now I'm not actually going to be recording right now because my hands are right here, but I'll show you what it looks like. So now I can see I've got all 6 of my tracks sitting right here. Okay, so when I start recording, I'm going to hit record. It's going to record on that first track. Okay, so I could tap the tempo. I've got it set at 92. It's okay. You'll see MIDI sync is off because I'm not using the beatbuddy. When I bring that back in, then we can actually start looking at that a little bit too. But so watch. 1, 2, ready, record. I'm going to cancel because I'm not actually recording. But you can see I've got 2 measures of count in that I've set up in my song. You see 6/6, 6x6 I got up there. Tempo, count in 2. I could have done 1, I could have done none, but I've got it set for 2 right there. Okay? So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. Now it's not going to record anything because I'm not playing, but okay. Then I can move to the next track, start recording. I can start playing. Once it's playing, now again, we're not going to hear anything right now, but once it's playing, I could overdub a second part over the top of that and then play that. I could overdub another part and play that. Okay? So there's just a lot of really amazing things that you can do. It just takes a little while, and the 6x6 took me a little time to get comfortable with, but I just wanted to show you kind of the layout and the things that I found that were really important in terms of setup, time signature, certainly whether I'm using the SD card, whether or not it's saved it all as individual tracks, setting up that click to go through the entire song, this thing of setting up mono or stereo depending on what your needs are, and being able to send that click to the auxiliary, just things like that that might help you a lot.